There are only 6 weeks left until midterm elections, and today is National Voter Registration Day. Over the weekend, former First Lady Michelle Obama spoke to a crowd in Las Vegas and told them how not voting could affect their lives.
Voting is a fundamental right. And our vote is our voice. I've said it again and again. It's our way to have a say in the issues we care about. It's how the democracy works. It's our stake in our children's future. I've said it again and again. Nothing has really changed. It still matters.
Antjuan Seawright is a Democratic strategist and the founder and CEO of Blueprint Strategy. He's also a former advisor to the Hillary Clinton campaign. Antjuan, welcome back. The former First Lady there said that she did not care who people voted for as long as they participated. But as you well know, other Democrats have been very blunt in their criticisms of President Trump and his policies. What do you see as the proper tone for the Democratic Party here moving forward, not just when looking at the midterms, but also looking ahead to 2020?
Well, I see a couple of things. Number one, I see the fact that Michelle Obama and her husband, I call them the great equalizers and the great unifiers, are back on the campaign trail rallying the troops because they know and understand this will be perhaps the most consequential midterm election of our lifetime, and this election will determine the tone and the temperature of our politics for the next 10 years. So I see that. I think what Democrats have to do is effectively communicate a message that's not just anti-Trump. We have to be about issues that matter to the American people. I like to call it bread and butter, barbershop and beauty salon issues, quality of life things like access to affordable quality health care and how the GOP have failed the American people. Infrastructure, ensuring that every child, regardless of their zip code, has the opportunity to reach their God-given potential and has access to affordable quality education. How do we deal with college tuition? All the things that the Republican Party refused to deal with and talk about, we have to be on the offense talking about those things and making sure voters are presented with a catalog of reasons for them to turn out.
Well, so according to a recent CBS News estimate, right now Democrats are in a stronger position than Republicans to win the House of Representatives. That if the election were held today, we estimate Democrats would win 224 seats. Is there any concern, though, on the part of Democrats, Antjuan, that voters might see these kinds of estimates and decide, okay, well, you know what, I don't need to come out and then stay home on Election Day? Well,
I'll say two things. The only polls I believe in are exit polls that tell you what happened in the election. The second thing I will tell you is that polls don't matter because we learned what polls tell us in 2016. What really matters is how voters feel about individual candidates. And what Democrats have to effectively do is localize every campaign and not get caught up in the national narrative, because that will be so important. But what I will tell you is that I think voters starting to realize, particularly independent thinkers, that they have buyer's remorse and friends will not let friends vote for Republicans in the 2018 midterm election.
Well, you talk about, though, not getting caught up in the national narrative. It is hard to escape the national narrative sometimes, as you well know.
It's not. I disagree, because Connor Lamb did a very effective job of talking about things that matter to Pennsylvania voters. That's why we now call him the congressman from a district that Trump won by 20 points. I can point to Virginia. I can point to New Jersey. We can point to the many legislative seats, places where Trump won in 2016, that Democrats have flipped those districts. There's a reason why Andrew Gillum has been up consistently 4 or 5 points in Florida, because he's making it about Florida and the issues that matter to Florida voters.
But let me ask you about a national issue that does seem to be resonating outside of Washington and New York, and that is this situation that we're seeing now with Brett Kavanaugh, because you have Republican members of the Senate Judiciary Committee who have hired an independent attorney, a woman, we don't know who it is yet, to question the woman who is accusing Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh of sexual assault. As a political strategist, what is your thought on that?
My thought is for Democrats as a whole, do not get caught up into things that will perhaps take the energy or the oxygen out of the room. What we have to be laser focused on is the midterm elections. Let senators do their job of blocking and tackling and dealing with the issue of Brett Kavanaugh and the Senate confirmation. But on the flip side, I will tell you, just as if the election will be the most consequential of our lifetime, midterm election, this Supreme Court pick perhaps will be the most consequential Supreme Court pick of our lifetime, because the stakes are so high. And what's at stake on the future of the highest court in the land, it makes me nervous to think that Donald Trump and a Donald Trump loyalist could rule on some issues that will change our country for forever. Supreme Court nominations and confirmations are for a lifetime. Donald Trump, his politics, his rhetoric, members of Congress, members of the Senate, that is for a time period in which voters will decide. We cannot undo a Supreme Court pick or nominee once they're confirmed.
All right, Antjuan Seawright, thanks so much for stopping.